everybody, welcome to a new edition of Staff Connections. I'm your host, Bill Colpin. It's totally different, even though we're at home, but you know the premise is still the same. We're getting to know those who work in your district each and every day, and those people are still working each and every day. And why does it matter? Not just because you matter, but they matter. And joining me today is Josh Lang. How are you there?
I'm great, Bill. Thanks for having me in.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm in your living room. I see you're in your office right there, and this and that. So I appreciate you doing that. So, right off the bat, obviously this is a different scenario. What's it been like, as far as the quarantine and working at home for you there, Josh?
It's interesting. It's quite an adjustment. Obviously for us, a lot of it is interpersonal connections, and we kind of can't really do that so well. But we've been making do as best we can using the platforms that are available. So I try and reach out to my kids. I send emails and video messages and things like that, just try and connect. I have social hours, so kids come in and we just talk about their day and how they're doing and how they're adjusting. So life is definitely different. It's changed. I've got kids of my own and they've had to make big adjustments, and my wife is a pharmacist, so she is still working and she's been making big adjustments. But I think that's just part of, the nature of our business. We're good at being flexible.
Yeah, and I agree. And we're going to get to your family in a little bit. Just kind of I like to be positive. I'm always a positive, energy. So in saying that, what do you feel has been positive, though? It doesn't even have to be related to school, but what do you think's been the positive thing about sort of being at home? And it doesn't have to be it could be anything.
Well, honestly, for me, my kids are getting older. I've got teenagers now, and I feel like that time was slipping away. We were really busy. We're getting pulled from games and activities and whatever. So this has been great to kind of slow down and just reconnect. We have family dinners all the time. We play games at night. We watch movies. So just from a connection standpoint of my family, it's been good. Yeah.
Totally agree. Hey, now that's great. That's great. So let's get to your family. All right. So you've been married for, is it almost 20 years now, 25 or?
18 years. My wife and I have been together for 25 years.
Yeah, okay. 25. That's what I thought. Okay. All right. So you've been married 18 and you have 2 kids. So tell us about what everybody's doing.
Okay. Well, I do have 2 kids. So we're in the district. So my boys, Aaron's a 9th grader. He'll be going to the high school next year. He's a basketball guy, is big into that. My youngest, Evan, is in 6th grade. He is into Taekwondo. So he's been very active with Zoom meetings, doing those classes, which is kind of fun. Their adjustment's been really interesting. I don't know if really too much has changed. They kind of socialize through the Xbox and through Snapchat and social media platforms. So apart from just not physically seeing anybody, you really wouldn't know much has changed from their standpoint.
So and the wife's a pharmacist. She's been doing that for a while then, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So you have an interesting background. Your parents, your dad was a doctor, a physician, and mom was a nurse. Is that how they met? And tell us about where you grew up.
Yeah, actually, so my parents are both from the Allentown area. They met there in high school, actually. My dad went to University of Pittsburgh for medical school, and became an obstetrician and a surgeon. And he's retired now. My mother went on to become a nurse. So they didn't meet that way, but it's kind of nice that they had that common career connection, which is kind of cool. We bounced around. We moved all over the place. So we lived a little bit in Pittsburgh, obviously. We lived out in California where my dad did his residency, and then back to Allentown once the whole family unit was together. So I mostly grew up in the Allentown area, but I will definitely claim that I'm from Pittsburgh.
See that? Yeah, I was going to say, because you mentioned one of your dream jobs is to own, especially the Pittsburgh Pirates, or own a professional a team from Pittsburgh. Is that right?
Oh, that would be amazing. Yes, and honestly, I would pick the Pirates just because the ballpark is beautiful, and I would just want to spend my days there. They obviously are terrible as an organization and run poorly, and they're not very good, but just being there in PNC is terrific. Just the city skyline and right on the rivers and the bridges and just the history of the franchise. That would be.
It is beautiful. That's what I heard there. Yeah, and I know you're a big Pitt. Like you said, you went to the University of Pitt, and you swam there, right? You were a swimmer.
I did. I walked on. I washed out pretty early just because I'm not 6'3". If I was much taller, I probably would be much more competitive. It was the hardest year of my life. We swam us really hard.
You are in ship shape when you're swimming every day, though. How many
Yes.
miles?
Oh, yeah.
How many miles is like a college swimmer swim? What's a
So,
practice? How many miles?
so we would swim about 2 hours a day,
Oh.
and we would do about 8,000 yards. So yeah, it was a lot.
Could you feel your hands after 2 hours of swimming? Were you all wrinkly?
Mostly shoulders, your shoulders and your back.
Yeah.
Honestly, your muscles hurt in places you didn't even know you had muscles. So that's the great thing about swimming. It's a great
That's
workout.
great. That's great. All right. So, let's get to some jobs here. All right. So, coming out of school, I don't know if this was one of your first jobs, but I noticed you worked at a florist, and you could put a floral arrangement together, from what I understand.
I did, yes. So one of my fraternity brothers, much older, he owned a flower shop right around the house, and I needed a job. And he said, "Hey, you should come deliver flowers for me. It's an easy gig." I said, "Sure, that's a great idea." So I did that, and I worked for him for about 3 years. And that morphed into actually going into churches and setting up floral arrangements. So I learned a lot.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those weird skills that you pick up and then not many people know you can actually do. But yes, I can put floral
Yeah,
arrangements.
that's great. Now, do you ever find yourself like going to somebody's house, or when you go to like a wedding, like a family wedding, and you're like you want to adjust the floral arrangement?
It's funny
Like,
you say that. If you talk to
you're like, uh,
if you talk to Kristen Landis, she'll tell you that I come into her room all the time and adjust her desks and move things around constantly. So I do it. I do it. Without thinking about it. So yes, it's all subconscious thing. I don't know if I do it particularly with flowers, but certainly with desks.
all right. So let's get to teaching. You taught, at Springford. Before Springford, you were in Charlotte, I guess, North Carolina.
Yeah, right after college, my wife got recruited to come down and be a pharmacist there. So one of my first jobs was teaching for Charlotte Mecklenburg schools.
Nice.
I actually worked in a creative arts magnet school. I taught technology, so that was like a special area class. It was kindergarten to fifth grade. It was awesome. It was like baby
Right up
thing.
your alley, then.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Nice. And then how many years were you there? 8, right?
Yeah, 8 years.
And then how many years at Springford?
This will be the conclusion of my 5th.
And you teach third grade. You taught third grade all those years. All right. So, what would you say? I mean, I'm always intrigued by the difference. What do you think is probably the biggest difference between school there and school here in like a Pennsylvania?
Wow. That's tricky. I guess curriculum is very different because it being a Southern school, there's certain tweaks and things that they were doing. This was a little before Common Core.
I mean, let's be honest. Are people more relaxed down there, or is it a little slow?
Yes. Oh, I would get in trouble all the time because, well, you know me in the building, I walk really fast. I kind of want to get where I want to go. So down there, they would just yell at me like, "Yo, Mr. Lang, you need to slow down. You are speeding through here." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm just going at my pace." So yes, it's a way more relaxed lifestyle down south than up here. So I guess because I grew up mostly here, that I'm kind of normal speed.
Yeah, you're in Pittsburgh. You went to school in Pittsburgh. That's fast. That's city life. It's not.
Yeah, it's city life. You got to get to where you got to go.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you got to go. Yeah, you got to go right away. All right, that's awesome. All right, so, you mentioned what do you think a good educator? What do you think they need to possess? What kind of things do you need to possess?
You need 2 things. You need patience and flexibility. I think especially for what we teach, the elementary age, nothing ever goes as planned. Nothing. You could come up with the greatest lesson plan. You could have everything done, and something will happen. And it will just change everything. You just take that moment and you move on. You move with it. It just is the way it is. So you've definitely got to be flexible. And of course, with the little ones, everybody is learning at their own pace. Some kids are ready for certain things and some kids aren't. So you just need to adjust and understand that you'll meet them where they are and be patient with them, and they will get it eventually.
All right. And I know you wanted to probably use those skills, reading some of those things about you. Interesting. You tried out, you and your wife, for the Amazing Race. I mean,
We did.
Tell us about that. So what'd you do? Where was it? What did you
So
have to do? Would you give me some
yeah,
details?
so we watch reality TV. I don't know why. It's really not anything that I should
We know
enjoy,
why.
but it's a guilty pleasure. So we were watching like Big Brother and Survivor. Survivor was really big when that came out. The Amazing Race comes out. My wife and I are like, we're really good at finding our way around places. We like to travel a lot. So she goes, we should try out for it. And I'm thinking, that's ridiculous. There's no way they're going to, why would we do that? She's like, no, we're doing it. So we did. We created a video and we did all this crazy stuff. And we submitted it and we definitely did not hear back from them. But that would have been really cool. We tried at least.
So do you ever do you rewatch that video, like on the anniversary of making it or something? Do you just pop it in and show the kids?
No, no. Back when I had hair and
Oh, that's okay.
younger in better shape.
But it kind of explains something because you said in your thing, your questionnaire, you're adventurous. So you've like white water rafted, you've done some skydiving. And
No, not skydiving.
Excuse me. It was air gliding.
NASCAR racing. I've driven a NASCAR.
All right. So, what do you think of those things? What's it like being in a NASCAR? What is that like?
It is the greatest roller coaster ever. All right. So for me, I do like that fun and adrenaline, but I need to be strapped in. Like skydiving would never be something I would do because I'm not strapped into something. Roller coaster, totally fine. NASCAR, totally fine. So my wife actually got that for me as a wedding gift.
That's awesome.
So when we lived in Charlotte, we were a half a mile from the start-finish line of Lowe's Motor Speedway. So we had tickets, we had seats, we do all that stuff. We'd go to the pits and watch the guys. We'd interact with the NASCAR guys. So driving was really cool. I think I got up to 195 miles an hour at my highest speed. It's crazy. You actually can drive. You can just put your foot on the gas and take your hands off the wheel, and the way it's angled, the track itself, it just takes you around. You don't even need to steer. It's really cool.
Awesome. All right. So now we work in the same building, so I know a little bit about you. Now, obviously I know that you're a Star Wars and, superhero Marvel kind of geek. Yeah, just a little bit. All right. So my question to you is this. All right. And don't give me a smart aleck remark here. All right.
I'll try.
Who wins? Darth Vader or the Hulk?
Ooh, interesting. I mean, I would think that Vader could hold him with the Force to make him not move, and then he has a lightsaber. So, I mean, I know you prefer the Marvel, but I would think Vader would just be. Besides, he's got the rage factor that I think would surpass the Hulk. That's his whole power. Comes from his anger.
He definitely has.
It'd be a good battle. It'd be a fun battle.
Yeah. It'd be a great. I mean, him and maybe Doctor Strange would be maybe a better battle.
I would pay money to go see that movie.
Yeah, that would be great. Doctor Strange and him with their mystic powers would be fantastic. All right. So before we kind of wrap this up, I always have one last question I want to ask you. And, you can take your time and answer it, whatever you feel. But in 20 so years, whenever, Mr. Josh Lang is retiring from Springford School District. What do you want your legacy? What do you want the kids to remember about you or say about you?
Oh, geez. I would hope that they got some type of life lesson, something that is, I don't know, like just enjoying life, enjoy where you are, the present moment. I think I try and live like that, where I try and live right now. I try and bring that to school. So I would hope that my kids, as they grow in life, can stop and reflect on where they are in the present moment, and then they can remember me as being a good model for that. That's what I would hope the most.
That's awesome.
That's a good question.
An impact, yeah. Well, that's a great answer. I totally agree. Living in the moment's key. And hey, thanks for living the moment right here with
Absolutely.
Staff Connections. I appreciate it. Thank you there, Mr. Lang. And until next time, I'm your host, Bill Culp. Thanks for joining us on Staff Connections.